Y'all all right? Okay. This picture you see is the Baphomet. You've seen this several times. This is Alypius Levi, the Baphomet. You think it's Satan. Number one, the Sabbatic goat, the Sabbath, which is Saturday. Saturday comes from the word planetary Saturn. And Saturn is Satan. The little new look at the old god. Satan, Saturn, Saturday. You see? Saturday, which represents Saturn, which represents the black planet. Saturn rules Capricorn, the Sabbatic goat. He has the third eye. Out the top of his head shoots the flame. The Kundalini energy is down here, but when it comes up here, it represents the flame energy, which is also a form of the Christ. Which is a form of the Christ. You got the moon, you got the black moon. It's the same as the yin and the yang symbol. Feminine and masculine. You see, these are ancient. This is an ancient Moorish symbology. The Moors went up into Europe. They set up 16 universities. In the you go to university and you go into a fraternity. Well, they set up, the fraternities were your ancient orders, York Rite, Scottish Rite, Knights Templar, which worship the Baphomet, the Knights Templars. This is the Moors' science, Moorish science. You know, the Christians needed a symbol for devil. So they took the ancient Greek god Pan, which is a form of the god Amun-Ra, because this is the same picture. This is a same converted picture. This picture and this picture is one and the same. This is the Baphomet. But you can see you have the Masonic symbol, which is also a star, as above, so below. As above, so below. But if you look this way, pointed up, this is also the so-called Star of David, which is two inverted pyramids. If you look this way, this is the head of a penis. But if you look at the pubic hair of a woman, it's the vagina. You see what I'm saying? As above, so below. You see? This picture is the same thing. You see the horns on Amun-Ra's head. You see? The horns on Amun-Ra's head. This is an interesting picture, the one I had up. This is the god Abraxas, or Aeon, coming from Persia, but it's, oh, that's good, brother. You straight. Y'all got a tight shift here. Coming from Persia, you got the black dot up here. You got the lion, which represents the Sphinx. You got the wings that you see on the Christ. You have that. Anytime you see any kind of stone, that also represents the pineal gland. Anytime you see the serpent, that represents the Kundalini energy that we'll also get into. But the lion, you got the beast, 666, that you're all scared of. Guess what the damn beast is? You go to the damn middle of the earth and you will see the Sphinx, horror market, a lion, a beast, which is the doggone Sphinx. And guess what the Sphinx is? Horus on the horizon. Guess what the beast is in the Bible? It is the Christ. It is the Christ. Satan and Christ is one and the same. These are esoteric terminologies. The word Satan means hidden God, hidden son, pineal, Lucifer, the god of darkness. Christos, or Christ, represents Satan, get behind me, or it means Christ conquers Satan. When you conquer mathematics, you become mathematics. You synthesize it. The black melanin switch on, black open and switch on. I know people haul ass on that one. Switch on. Switch on. The word Satan only means melanin in alchemical terms. It means the word Satan, you get the ancient god Set. But also Set is also named Kim or Chemophis, black god. It means hidden god, hidden substance. The Christ represents the seed that is inside of the melon. There's one little seed that's inside of the melon called a Bindu seed, the crystal seed, the white stone. And so when this melanin is synthesized, it becomes the Christos. Jesus rides into Jerusalem on an ass, a donkey. Set is known as the ass deity. But here's the picture I just showed you was the picture that showed you all of that. Horus Set. This is the same thing. This is Horus. This is Set behind him. Horus, or the hero, the Heru of the hero, is called the great face of God. The face. The face. Jacob, Jacob, the black god, wrestled with the angel all night. At the end of the night, he saw the face of God, and it was called what? Pineal. Horus. That black angel was Set. All this means yin and yang. Light, the core. These are alchemical terminologies that religion have turned into damn moralistic shit, and you worshiping a devil, which means diabos, dual one, doppelganger, your inner self, your double. The devil, double. Your devil, which means
on that same note, as you're talking about, you know, the effects and the influences, how it affects our mind, how we register it, and how to kind of change it. Now, I want to elaborate on this. I know you can do better than most on this topic. This week, actually, what came up, I was getting a lot of questions because I'm finding out people that claim to be into the occult and metaphysics. For an example, I had some fool email me about Baphomet, and for an example, most people on the surface, to show you how we've been indoctrinated, people will hear that term, the ignorant will all of a sudden start conjuring up images of, you know, the Illuminati and Satanism, and because they don't understand the energies that Baphomet represents. In the process, for an example, somebody that might, if they hear the word Baphomet, and the mind has already been systematically programmed with all these negative aspects that on the surface idiots automatically associated with. And then you also explain to them the basic stuff like, well, you know, you have the goat face of the man, which represents the masculine energy, the breast of the female, which represents the female energy, you know, the finger pointing up, which represents, you know, as above, so below, with the finger pointing down. The four elements, these are just symbols or energies, for an example, that this so-called deity Baphomet ties in. When you go to the essence of it and you see that you remove the spookism from it, would this be a system when, for somebody that thinks on the surface it's associated with, say, Satanism and devil worship, which is fictitious, as you explained on the last show, would a basic form of reprogramming the subconscious mind would be getting into the essence of the aspect of the energies that's projected from the deity Baphomet? Would that be a minor system?
First of all, what occultists did, because they understood what I've been telling everybody tonight, which is really a fucking gem. I know they feel they understand it, but really the show is really a very profound one because it will separate men from the boys if you actually did the work. But nobody's going to do the work. But let's pretend you will. So understanding the concept of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, those things that you explained, the wings in the astral world, the crown, lit up crown, his illuminated, the man and woman actually is talking about androgyny and the in balance, as above, so below. He's in a yoga pose, which represents he's mastered earth, and he's mastered the spirit of the crown. He's illuminated. He has a caduceus in his stomach, kundalini. All of these are symbols for the subconscious mind. What made him with this evil smile on his face? For what? The conscious mind. They understood in these groups, in these initiation things, if the conscious person sees that and go, oh, that's not for me, that's another way of saying he hasn't worked with the subconscious mind. Because if the subconscious mind who understands symbols would have seen all of this shit.
Right.
Technically, while we're trying to explain what Baphomet is, the real answer as an occultist is to let the motherfuckers be. Because that's because if they see it and it scares them, that means they're only looking at the surface. Because I just said about 5 or 6 fucking things that are in there, and that's everything. They like kundalini, they like yin yang, they like the astral world, they like the chakras, they like the illuminated crown chakra, they like yoga.
Right.
They like the astral world. That's all in there. So if you cannot see that, that means you're not looking with your mind, your true mind, which is the subconscious. You're looking with your ego. So all of these titans in the dark and the demons, if you really study it, the demon means genius. Demon is melanin. So when you see it and you're like, that's not for me, that's the white man, that stays out, that means you're really explaining how much work you have not done. I don't give a fuck what's Nubian or Moor or Black Jesus Society you have been in. That really, as the occultist who knows the score on how this thing is actually measured, you just showed your worth.
Right.
It concealed in this smile of Baphomet is everything you niggas are supposed to be. You can't get past the devilish smile. You're telling me who you are. We don't have to discuss, well, that really meant it was the Templars and Euphrates Levy created it in 1849. But he was black. But he was the Moor. But this is the Templars. The Templars are really black. I got to do all that shit with you. You just showed me in your subconscious mind, because there are people who've never seen it before. And that he is Pan as well. My name is Pan, so I have a connection. I don't really have a connection with it more than anybody else. I made a connection with it more than anybody else because it means something to me. So you'll see this all around me. Chains, whips, and dips, and all sorts of five-pointed stars. See, the five-pointed star, 5 times, see, the number 7, see, look, niggas don't even, look, the number 72 is the 72 Goetians and the 72 angelic forces, which is the yin-yang. The 72 are the 72 conspirators of Set. Set's the pineal, Satan's the pineal. The 72 chakras on your pineal gland alone, minor chakras. Those 72 chakras on your pineal have names. Those are the 72 Goetians. Solomon holds back these 72 demons with his 5-pointed star ring. What's 5 times 72? 360. The circle that you put them in is the circle of the 5 points. The 5-pointed stars of Baphomet are each 5 points of the limb, which is 72. In the book Psychomancy, what I'm trying to tell y'all, he tells you how to deify each of your limbs, each of your 5 pieces, which are 72.72. There's 72 points, 172 of light, which is the moon. This shit is all connected. And niggas is Baphomet good or bad? Such a lame conversation. Such a fucking lame conversation. I can go in over days on the science of this shit where it all links up. That's actually going to be in a chapter in my book, which should be in a couple of weeks. She's got 2 more weeks of shit to do, then we about to print. So y'all niggas get ready for my motherfucking book. I've been talking up a good one. That shit coming. It is done. She's almost finished, almost editing. We're just doing the cover and shit like that. And then it's off to the printing presses. So it will be out pretty much towards the end of summer, which we there now. You there? With that being said, this chapter, so it's still working. See, even the fact that is so far behind that you still have to say Bachman is this, that, it's not even worth talking to these people. Now, I also noticed, too, for the same people who sit around talking about, same people who sit around talking about, I don't know if it's good or bad, there's also people who've never seen it and be like, wow, that's interesting. What is that? I always seen that, and I always liked it. I always wanted to know. What does that tell me? That tells me their spirit, something in their subconscious is calling that. Right. So this is many assholes who don't want to deal with it. I seen a bunch of motherfucking young black scientists who are attracted to it as well. It's the individual. It ain't our job. It ain't my job. And I don't think it's nobody's job to convince nobody that they are a fucking god. I'm not going to sit here and try to prove to you that that's a symbol of your godhood. Correct. Even the idea of using a fucking goat, a sheep is a follower. A goat sits on the mountain and watches. Still Valentine talked about it. And watches from the mountaintop. A goat is on the mountain. It's a pineal fucking figure. He's on the mountain versus the sheep that follow around. You a fucking sheep, nigga. That's right. You scared of a fucking goat picture. See, you said, well, there's more than a goat picture than what it represents. Okay, what it represents, I get you deep. But we done broke down what it represents. Kundalini, yin-yang, androgyny. Enlightenment, grounded on earth with the legs folded, with yoga fucking pants on, goddammit. That's right. As above, so below. That's right. So you say what it represents, then what does it represent? That's what it represents. That's right. What's the problem? That's right. Nah, I'm almost getting fed about trying to prove something that's just, like I said, I can't even get into the science. You get into the number 72, and that'll end it for all these niggas who's worried about Baphomet. If you ain't ready, you ain't ready. I'm gonna be absolutely clear. My shit is advanced studies. You have to been into some shit. I teach based upon that you niggas heard years of Bobby Hemmett breaking this shit to you slowly and gently and nurturing you. So I'm assuming that you passed. I wonder what that means. Because that's what you're gonna get from me. Do this, do that, tap in shit. Shit that you have this fear, this is not for you. Here's the good news. This shit here is for free. All you got to do is click off. Correct. That's good news. That's the good news. So this is not something. See, and because they have a mentality. See, that's why people sometimes want to challenge me because they have a mentality as if I'm telling you this is what you need to do. Let me be clear. I don't give a fuck what you do.
That's right.
My message is for those who are trying to step up into this, and I want to offer a hand up based upon my progress. If that hand up doesn't suit you, get the fuck out of here too. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no reason, you know what I'm saying? This is for those, and if it don't work, shit, all you did was listen for free. But I'm not here to convince anyone to change your mind. If what you got is working for you or what you got ain't working for you, I don't give a fuck. This is not a labor of love. Let me say it again. This is not a labor of love. This is a labor for scientists.
That's right.
I love my family. And a couple of people who've gotten to be my family. But the general public of black people is not love. Why? Because this teaching, this science, is not emotional. Love is emotional. And everybody has their different definitions of what love is. Some people think me passing on their email message to Bobby is some form of love. I'm not here to love you. I'm here to teach your ass. And,
that's right.
And really, the only person that can truly love you in the true science of love and opening up the heart chakra, everybody wants to, is actually love and compassion for yourself, for your spirit, for your soul, not for your humanity. Humanity is too volatile. I just told you your conscious mind will tell you anything, which it will tell you, I love this person, or this, I love this person, as long as that person do that. I can't begin to tell you how many motherfuckers love me and talk. Say, you know, some fuck you, kiss my ass. I don't know, you know, your heart chakra's closed, Panic. Like, but all the time I was telling you shit and it was sounding good because it went with your hotel. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Panic is from Saturn. He's that nigga. And so I said, nah, I don't really fucking do that. I don't really fucking care. No, I'm not gonna, you know, tell you about your fucking dream. So yeah, because that's that shit from church. Looking
That's right.
Looking to commune for love. This is not a labor of love from me. In a certain kind of way, you could say it is, because really, my love comes from what's inside of you. I do not love you. I love what's inside of you. That's why I'm speaking to what's inside of you. And I'm hoping you can hear it, because I'm talking to something that's deeper than me being buddies. If we become buddies, yeah, I'm all for it. But don't count on that.
Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. If y'all can hear me, throw a one in the chat. If you can hear me, throw a one in the chat, man. That intro was intense, man. I don't know if it was the music or the caffeine, boy. I'm like, damn, what this nigga about to be talking about? This dude is getting deep over here. One in the chat if you can hear me before I go on, because I don't want to talk to nobody and y'all can't hear me. I've been doing a lot of rigmarole with my settings, so there is a potential of y'all not being able to hear me. Toss a one in the chat, please. All right. Shout out to y'all, man. So this is What If God is the Devil? A Gnostic interpretation by me, Kyrie, the Hood Mystic. It's going to be more of an educational, philosophical, metaphysical breakdown with a beginning, middle, and an end. So I'm asking the question, what if God is the devil? But I'm also answering the question at the end of the presentation. So, in reference to Brother Panic, in reference to Bobby Hemmett, let me first just say Ashe and thank you for opening my eyes to things that I just would have never known without you. So, thank you, you know. And in reference to the pioneers, to what we call Black consciousness on a national level, I think that it's only right that we continue and expand on their initial thoughts and conversations because it's intriguing. So I didn't invent this particular concept of what if God is the devil. Bobby Hemmick got a video talking about it. Panic talks about Baphomet extensively. But my personal opinion is that they are not succinct and they are not concise enough with the actual answer. Maybe this will be a long video, but my overall goal is to be succinct. My overall goal is to be clear. But what I'm not going to do is oversimplify things that are very complex, that require a lot of different understandings and levels to comprehension to come to the answer of like, what are we here for, right? Because it's very, very deep when you begin to examine every church, when you begin to examine every institution, every government, every bank. And it is ran in such a way where the less gets the most and the most gets the least. And then we are then told we live in a meritocracy where you have to just be good and you'll get good. But for so many good people, the opposite is true. And so my overall basic assumption is that we live in an upside down world where God is the devil and the devil is God. So everything that people do in reference to being good, everything that people do in reference to like serving God is actually serving the devil. Because even if your heart is right, the particular institution acts as guardrails to the direction of your soul. So why am I even talking about this? What would be my perspective from a Gnostic point of view is for the individual to listen to this and get off the wheels of reincarnation, because the confusing part is this: the devil is in the details. And everything that we understand to be good might have a core value of being bad that's going to lead you into reincarnation. And then another thing that I began to like have a more of an empathetic view for is the Freemasons as like being keepers of the secret, the true secret that, you know, there is a real God that rules the earth, but it's not the true God. And the more that people get into so this abstract concept of God that creates Jews, that creates Muslims, that creates Christians, they all worship God, but they will fight, they will kill, they will steal, they will rob, they will do all types of evil shit in the name of God. Ain't that the devil? Ain't that the devil? Ain't it crazy that your great grandma went to church and in a couple of generations you don't have access to the family home, you don't have no inheritance? But ain't black people the most religious, God fearing people on the planet? What have that served us? What have that gotten us? And not from an atheistic point of view, but like beyond the oversimplification. Because when we think about black consciousness, when we think about religion, when we think about spirituality, we exist in the world of oversimplification. And as long as this is going to be your modus operandi when discussing your spirituality, you're going to live out this particular definition. A oversimplification, a simplification of something to such an extent that a distorted impression is given. And this was sent to me in my dreams. And even as I'm saying it, my ears start to ring, because oversimplification was the word that was given to me last night. in reference to how people understand spirituality, if I could just give you a basic understanding, if I could just give you a couple of terms, everything's going to be all right. And then, therefore, you might feel good about me. But if I get into the details of a particular situation, if I get to the core of it, if I get to the truth of it, then, oh, Kyrie, you is being weird. You ain't the person that I thought you was. You irritating me. I don't like you no more. Right? But if I simplify it, oh, baby, you so beautiful and everything is going to go your way. I'm giving you a distorted impression. And I don't really give a fuck in reference to how people feel, in reference to the actual truth, because the truth is not simple and it can't be an oversimplification. So the ability to stare at this shit show that we call the world and understand it to be a shit show is how you actually get to the wisdom. What am I also saying? Your ability to live in emotional glamour, materialistic glamour, the inability to not be able to just sit the fuck down and just relax, to always be doing something, always feel like you got something, you better than, that is you not even realizing that this is a shit show. And as long as you live in these particular illusions, the Matrix talks about this, Dark City talks about this, you're not gonna get it. You're trying to make the best of a shit show. You're looking at this shit and saying, um, it, yeah, it's not a shit show. And the problem with this particular delusion is that it blocks wisdom. It blocks truth. It blocks understanding. Right? As we get deeper into the Kabbalistic things. And this is some real shit. I've been thinking that the case for an extremely long time. The God of the Bible is the furthest from being loving. He is jealous, demands that he is to be worshipped as the Most High. He is, in fact, the demiurge. And I guess when you are in a particular point in time in your life, you might not understand it. But in 2025, we should be able to understand it. It's all, at the end of the day, race and religion are to divide us against the real evil. And that's what brought up this particular conversation. That's literally what really spurred me to stop what I was doing, because I'm always doing the most. And I'm like, yo, I gotta just carve out time on this Saturday to just really talk about this and really express it in a way where we begin to understand things from a spiritual perspective, not from a stupid ass perspective where, because he a different race than me or she's a different race than me. And then only be really talking about white people, because let some big booty Latinas come in here, niggas have a whole different story. One in the chat. Niggas don't even feel racist no more. One's in the chat. But obviously, when it comes to white people, people get into this whole we gotta war it out. Like niggas is even prepared for a race war in 2025. Like, what are we even talking about? In reference to understanding, we need to figure out how we going to unify before we think about anything outside of that. But if we can't begin to understand spiritual truths, there is no way for us to unify. And the problem with a lot of black people, whether you know it or not, they Christians. And the problem with Christians is that they have no rules. Now, if black people were a majority Muslim, if black people were a majority Jew, we would have revolutionized in a generation and been right up there with the elites. But because black people are Christians, Black people can do whatever the fuck they want to do, and then go to church on Sunday, participate in communion, talk, pray about it, cry it out, go to church on Sunday, not go to church for another 6 months, go back for another week, go to church every Sunday, but fucking a nigga that's not your husband. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do as a Christian. Okay? Muslim, you can't exist. I mean, every religion have its fringe groups, but Muslim, Jewish religions are way more stricter than Christianity. But like the secular bridge between Christianity and rock and roll, and that being the predominant religion in the black households, moving into the R&B and then to the rap, like that is our religion now. And what do that tell us to do? All right, case closed. So we would have to be much more disciplined in what we are taking in, how we exist in with each other, how we mating and marrying each other, how we bringing up our families to even begin to talk about uniting. Because at the end of the day, black people, 75% brought up in single mother households. And this is not a new phenomenon. That was how it was when I was growing up. Okay. So that's just how it is. So in reference to getting to somewhere of the truth, we got to have a spiritual foundation. And that spiritual foundation obviously comes from within yourself, which this is the overall crux of this conversation. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. Because from a Gnostic perspective, right, God is the matriarch. God is Sophia. Okay, God is the woman, the black woman. That is from a Gnostic perspective. Okay. Now, from a more of an atheistic perspective or a Judeo-Christian perspective, which is not the worshiping of a god, but the worshiping of a false god. The reason why you know it's a false god, if you just have common sense, right? It is a Father, it is a Son, and it is a Holy Spirit. It is devoid of the mother. So right there, you got to throw a red flag. Ones in the chat, you got to be like, that can't be a real religion right there. I can't agree with that philosophy. Knowing damn well I came up out of a woman, so therefore, how can I then believe that a angel came down to a girl, told her that she was going to be pregnant, and that ain't never happened? You know it ain't never happened because ain't nobody even lied and said that it happened. I would imagine that somebody by 2025 and be like, oh, I'm pregnant with Jesus. I don't got no baby daddy. My baby daddy God. Filing child support on God and shit like that. Why can't we? I would have felt like we would have seen it by now. We ain't never seen it. At our core, we know she pregnant by somebody. But then we gonna have a suspension of disbelief when it comes to God. I can't deal with it. True spiritualists understand that God is a woman there because you come from a woman. You like birth through a woman. And of course, the Father is in it. But from a Gnostic perspective, you have Chokmah, you have Banah, you have them coming together to create this whole entire realm. So we have the Bible, and you can open the Bible and you can get into Psalms and you say, oh, there's some good shit. You can get into Ephesians and you say, oh, there's some good shit. And then you get into Leviticus and it get a little weird. You get into the New Testament and get a little weird. Because, of course, when I'm going to convey a spiritual message, I got to give you some of the truth and some of a lie. Which is great until I give you a sandwich and I give you some ham and then I lather it up with goddamn motor oil and I hand it to you. That's a half truth. Is you going to still eat that sandwich? So you got billions of black people, because the black people in Africa, guess what they are? Guess who they worship worse than us? This false god, okay? So let's not play with this shit. Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the archons, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. And with this particular statement, I could not say it any clearer. So, when Starstorm said, it's all one at the end of the day, race and religion are to divide us against the real evil, this is how you know God is real. She didn't know my slides because it has to be all one thing. The ways in which you are divided is through the modalities of religion, property, laws, information. I'll tell him all of the secrets and I won't tell her none of the secrets, and let's see how far they'll go in life. So there's a couple of bases that I'm coming from. I'm coming from a historical basis, and I'm coming from a philosophical, metaphysical, spiritual basis. Philosophical, right? This just came to me, right? Because true spiritualists know. Philosophy, rather. Philosophy, etymology. Because a lot of people don't understand what philosophy is, but that's why we reference the etymology, right? Sophia. One's in the chat if you see Sophia. So if we're going to ever come to the truth, we have to have a philosophy. We have to love the goddess. We have to understand the goddess. We have to, it's deeper than spiritual. It's deeper than religious. It is the love of the woman that's in front of you. Because the woman that's in front of you is so, you looking at the body and you say, oh, the body is so sexy, whatever the case may be. Men, we look at women sometimes, we're like, oh, we want to have sex with her, and niggas a brag, I had sex with her and, I dropped her off at her mama's house or whatever the case may be. I kept it pushing, one hitter quitter, whatever the case may be. But that's like, going to a library, you know what I'm saying? Just to drink from the water fountain, and then leaving the water fountain. And then acting like you really learned something or you really did something. You haven't even read a book. And so it's always in reference to the type of men that's like, having sex with women and not having a real relationship with women and loving this particular concept is always, weird to me, right? Because it's not like, you talk to every woman or you get in contact with 1,000 women or no shit like that. You can just sit down with one woman and really expand your life. But in reference to everyday conversation, it's like, man, I got like, I got a roster, I got a roster. And it's like, oh, okay. Because another topic that I've been really investigating and compiling my own library of wisdom is in the roots of like psychopathy and the conflation with men and women, right? So we might we say, men do X, Y, and Z, but really you saying psychopaths do X, Y, and Z, but they kind of conflated and merged these particular topics. So it's like, yeah, man, these women ain't shit because these women did X, Y, and Z. But really, you talking about the psychopathic women who is put onto the forefront. You feel me? Right? You gotta understand, like, it'll be a small percentage of the population that's really this ratchet, that's really this ghetto, that's really this crazy, that's really this violent, right? And then you have like a huge percentage of people that's just on some like, I just want to expand and live a good life and buy property and shit like that. And you never get to know these people. You know, I wanna get into that. But I think from this perspective of trying to understand how we got into this particular situation, we have to start here in 1493 because for so long we had lived in a particular world where we were the dominant, if you want to just have a definition, the dominant race. But we lived on the outside of these particular people and these particular thought forms because where we'll look at things is like from the surface, like God is good, and you will have like certain compilations of the Bible that'll be like that were predated to the King James Version. You will have royal families that existed for 1,000 years, black bloodlines, you know, like there was a semblance of God's royal excellency that had traveled from Babylon, Egypt, you know, that bled into these Moorish bloodlines that, you know, really poured into Europe and the European, really gave them life in a space where, you know, they was living in caves and bathed in dirty water, right? So not too long ago, you know, your bloodline was that of pure royalty, and like this is what God is, this is what God looks like. But with this particular doctrine of discovery in 1493, they created a whole nother realm or matrix around you where that old matrix was completely destroyed and obliterated. And if you didn't adopt this particular doctrine of Christianity, which maybe to them they felt wasn't that bad, you know, but really what it was you either going to sell your soul to the devil or you're going to cease to exist. So the doctrine of discovery is a legal principle and a philosophical framework from the 15th century rooted in papal bulls, a European colonial law that granted Christian nations special rights to acquire sovereignty and property over non-Christian lands that they discovered. So the crime, the universal crime, is that they discovered a world that was already discovered, and they did it in the name of Christianity. So the world that you live in, when you talk about the frameworks, when you talk about the guardrails, you might forget about it through different emotions and different relationships and things that you particularly need. Like I needed that job, or I needed that particular healing or baptism or whatever you call it. But the ways for which we are to understand Christianity is not because God was so good to us. The ways that we understand Christianity is with a sword or with a gun or with a life or death situation. That's how we experience Christianity for the first time. And if that's not the devil, then I don't know what is. Am I tripping? Would God force you to believe in it with a sword, with a knife, and really, colonize your whole entire life? So it served as a legal and moral justification for colonization and the dispossession of indigenous people based on the idea of Christian superiority and the concept of terra nullius, or empty land, which disregarded the existing inhabitants. The thing about us is that we didn't come over here on any slave ships. The concept is being fed to us and taught to us because of this particular papal bull. It fits the narrative that these Christians discovered America, and when they discovered America, they had to ship in reinforcements from Africa. And even the ones that did come from Africa, they didn't come from West Africa. The story is they came from inland Africa. So who do those people represent? They represent the Eastern Ethiopic Egyptian line of Africans that didn't even align with the Igbo, didn't even align with the West African tribes because of the things that they got into. When we look at all of the people in the world that's susceptible to Christian propaganda, that means they're open to worshiping the beast without even knowing it. Because if we're going to imagine how God would love or create a world in a symbolism, in a direction for us, you would imagine that God would do it in a much more positive way than forcing us with a knife, or forcing us with a sword, rather. Despite its origin, the doctrine of discovery continues to influence legal frameworks and continues to be challenged by indigenous movement advocating for land justice. And the reality is that should be something that we all should fixate and focus on. Understanding that we are in a world that is being manipulated by this particular entity, and it's not fake. It's not something that is abstract, but we have to get into the Gnostic understanding of it so we can get to a full, concise viewpoint of what we're dealing with. Because when it comes to Brother Pennant, when it comes to Tracy Twyman, they are no longer on the earth. And at a particular time, they did not understand Baphomet, because understanding Baphomet is understanding the reality of Baphomet, which is the true God of the Bible, Yahweh, Yaldabaoth. He goes by many different names, but the reality is there nonetheless. And if you ignore it, and if you think that it's not a real thing, then you not even living in the world for real. You looking at shit and you saying, well, I hope I can have a good time tonight. As long as I'm having fun, it don't matter. As long as my life good, it don't matter. But you are living in a colonized world that was colonized under the direction of God. The banks are under the direction of God. Your job is under the direction of God. It's called a corporate model. And it's a way that they're going to treat you. It's a way they're going to brainwash you. It's a way they're going to teach you to have you worshiping the devil too. Because you can't see with your own two eyes, obviously. This whole thing is set up for us to be, like Malcolm X said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. So let's get into exactly what happened with this papal bull. The Pope claimed divine right as basically Christ, and he could just say that America was his. Now, my thing is God directing him, or is the devil directing him? Because in the institution of every city was a church. That was part of the makeup. So when you go to every city in town, it might not be a store in that goddamn town, but it's going to be a church. When you talk about the church don't got an army, y'all. So a person might say, well, that's just the church. The church ain't tough. The church ain't rough. Who is going to enforce the church's papal bull? The government is the military force of the devil. Do you not see this shit? Why would God need niggas with machine guns and tanks? If I'm going to enforce a war all over the world every damn day, we got to talk about free Palestine, free Congo, free Sudan, free Syria, free Egypt. Because the papal bull is still in effect. Wherever these dudes feel like they want to go and drop bombs, they can. And understand that the initial origin of the army don't come from some niggas starting a country. You can't just start a country and a state. You need papal approval. The Pope needs to, because the Pope is God on earth. Christ lives through the Pope. Now the question is, the God that lives through the Pope that decides what is what and who, is that God a good God? And then you have to just answer the question. Yes, he is a benevolent, all-serving God that creates unity in the world, creates peace in the world. We don't even be really talking about free Palestine that much. It's not even important. It's not even important. So once again, the origin of everything we know to be the world that we live in today, with no alteration and no changes, would specifically say if you go against any of these papal decrees, something bad gonna happen to your ass. So when we look at black people that are predominantly rather Christians, I think intuitively we must understand why. It was the threat of violence. And when you read through the Bible, certain things don't begin to when you read about the Bible, you begin to study about the Bible, and it's thousands of seminary schools, breaking it down, concordances, all types of rigmarole, places that don't exist, people that don't exist, stolen mythologies from other religions, hodgepodge stuff. It don't begin to add. It don't begin to read. And a person will say, and I know the person will say, well, Hood, why do it matter? Why should I care? Right? My life is good. I got a nice car. Everything good with me. But once again, in order to see wisdom, you have to understand the illusion. You can't get to wisdom without the illusion. You have to immerse yourself in the illusion to get to wisdom. And that's why people never get to wisdom. And that's why people get stagnant in their spiritual journey, because they refuse to acknowledge the illusion. We then will say, man, that's just some shit, man. I don't care about that shit, man. I don't know about that shit, man. Everything is cool, man. Man, I'm just trying to do my thing, man. It's hard for me, man. I'm struggling, man. And it's like, don't you think You worshiping the devil a little bit too much. You don't even understand. You don't even understand it. You don't think you get no closer to the truth the way you be struggling. The way you don't have no gnosis, the way you don't have no awareness, the way these niggas keep coming at you, the way no niggas is coming at you, the way you ain't got no hoes, the way don't nobody really like you. You don't think the devil got something to do with that? But you want to ignore it, okay? You want to ignore it because you don't want to deal with the illusion. But I'm telling you, you can't get to wisdom without the illusion, and that's the beautiful thing. That's what makes this shit interesting. That's what makes this shit interesting. For you must not worship any other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. And it has you wonder, why would God be jealous? What's your reasoning for being jealous if you're the Most High? Within the text is telling you worshiping a false God. So from a Gnostic perspective, we're looking at Genesis and Exodus like, oh, we looking at it a particular different way. It's a particular text called the reality of the rulers or the hypostasis of the archon. So in the story, the hypostasis of the archons, also called the reality of the rulers, is a Sethian Gnostic text that provides an esoteric interpretation of the early chapters of Genesis. It describes the creation of the material world and humanity by a group of flawed demonic beings called archons or rulers, who are seen as the agents of a lower, lesser God who is distinct from the ultimate true God. You may have heard this before, but you got to look and bear witness to this shit right now, ones in the chat. You have to bear witness to this shit right now. Whether you're a Muslim, whether you are a Jew, whether you are a Christian, this is the nigga that you choose to go to hell and high water with. Not Sophia, not the Pleroma, not the totality of all, not the Sirius star system, not the Andromeda galaxy. You want to be locked-toed with a motherfucker that came through your neighborhood with a fucking Glock 27, said you're going to worship me or else. And you said, oh, that's God. I think I'm going to get baptized on Sunday. Hey, man, whatever floats your boat. Man, I think I'm going to join the church on Sunday, man. Hey, man, hey. I say to you and your ancestors, but it can't be me. My first moment of spiritual awakening, I was a diehard Christian, man. I loved going to church, man. I stood outside of that church and I said, it would never be a moment where I would ever come into a church for no reason. And that was in 2012. I have not been to a church ever since then. It was a wave that came over me. I said, oh, hell no. This is too crazy. They up in this bitch worshiping the devil. They up in this bitch worshiping the devil all up through this bitch, harnessing energy. I'm going to read this again. And this is the truth. This is the reality of the rulers, y'all. The reality of the rulers. It describes the creation of the material world and humanity by a group of flawed demonic beings called archons or rulers, who are seen as the agents of a lower, lesser God who is distinct from the ultimate true God. The text's main goal is to reveal the true natures of these rulers to humanity who are trapped in a physical world. The archons created to keep the divine spark within them in prison. And this is all we talking about. These archons that look like Baphomet, that look like Abraxas. So when Bobby Hemming and Brother Panic is trying to give you an esoteric breakdown on Baphomet, he was right on certain shit. He was wrong on that part. No, nigga, that's God right there. You wanna that nigga, he ain't no joke. He ain't no joke. And if you don't see him, it's because you don't see the divine spark within yourself. And the key with all this spirituality shit, I could be the deepest nigga on the planet. But if I don't see that divine spark, that shit is going to be opaque to me. I'm not going to be able to give you a concise, succinct view of what this nigga represent. Cause I'm just the nigga that's seen it from the beginning, middle to the end. Like, oh, you off the earth. Tracy Twyman, you off the earth. So I'm reading, nigga. I'm reading this shit differently now. I'm reading this shit differently now. You're not gonna just be studying some shit and you get taken off the earth. Nah, I gotta come at you with respect. Cause what the fuck? You taking niggas off the earth. Okay? For good or for worse. I don't know. They said it's not good or bad. But I'm looking at this shit like I don't know. These I can't say good or bad in reference to this shit might be bad, y'all. This shit might be evil, y'all. This shit might be evil. This shit might be that nigga might be a piece of shit, y'all. I say we gotta look at this nigga with a side eye. I feel like this nigga gonna try to keep you away from unity, y'all. Trying to look at things as good and bad. No, we gonna have to start to identify what the fuck this shit is. That's how I'm gonna do it. Niggas can, yin and yang you to motherfucking death. One in the chat. It's just the yin and the yang. It's the light and the dark. That ain't really giving me a concise, succinct direction. It's whatever the work that you put into it. If you put the work into it, you will get what you wanted. But what if this nigga goddamn evil? What if this motherfucker is fucked up? Okay. And if this nigga is fucked up, do I need a knife? Do I need a gun? Do I need some sage? What if I need to fight? Okay. So within Gnostic theology, a complex cosmology describes a creator God who, despite his power, remains ignorant to higher spiritual realms. So it'd be like, Kyrie, how could you talk about this nigga? You know this nigga is spooky. Because I also understand the higher spiritual realms and I listen. I listened for a long time before I came to y'all with this shit, y'all. I listened for a very, very, very long time. I just didn't just hop on. This shit just didn't all come to me today. Man, I listened for a long time. You got to listen for a long time. You got to immerse yourself in the illusion for a long time to get to a point where you say, okay, I get it now. Because the oversimplification is going to lead to a distorted thing. Oh, it's just yin and the yang. And you just go about it in your everyday one-on-one life. But if you get to the higher crux of it, it's like you practice in these higher spiritual realms for what? So you can begin to see past and through the illusion. So Yaldabaoth, he is an arrogant architect, described as a blind, arrogant creator god. And this is all from the hypostasis of the archons. I'm just going to give you a little cliff notes of it, but if you want the full in-depth, you can get the full version on Google. Just type in the reality of the rulers and it should come straight up. He was ignorantly proclaiming, "It is I who am God, there is none apart from me." However, he is a counterfeit ruler. In Gnostic thought, Yaldabaoth is not the true source, but a counterfeit ruler, the chief of the archons who fabricates the physical universe. He represents spiritual tyranny. He ensnares souls through false authority and ignorance. His perceived divine order is merely masking profound spiritual tyranny. So what does this mean for us? What it means for us is that it is our time to understand our spiritual reality through principles, through discipline. That is how you understand God within yourself. And you have to do it because everybody praying to a false God. So the Gnostic sees the false God, and trust me, it's not in church. The number one places that this false God is showing up now is where people work at. You got to have a key card. You got security systems. You got corporate managerial structures and shit. We seen you spit on 9th Street. We know you was off work, but our company policy says don't spit, and we got cameras on every block now, so we monitoring everything about you. And you got to understand, the devil is going to force you out one way or another, and you latching on to that shit, right? Because you got a college degree and shit, or your mentality is, I need this job. If I don't have this job, I'm gonna be homeless, and you create that reality because you is God. So if you think that, wrap your arms around that, embrace that ideology. But for those who are trying to find something more outside of, worshiping the devil, what is the devil? They say Baphomet in this book. Oh my God. In this book right here, they say Baphomet created the banking system, y'all. And he created the banking system through alchemy. And he created the alchemy as something from nothing, right? So what is money? Money ain't nothing. In reference to real life, fiat currency is worth, I'm going to put a question mark. Fiat currency has value because a government declares it legal tender, and people have faith in the government and the economy to accept it as payment. Unlike money backed by a physical commodity like gold, fiat money is not intrinsically valuable and derives its worth from public trust, government regulation, and its role in the economy. In this book, it say Baphomet told the Knights Templars how to get this shit all to create the whole system. So our concept of money, right? Like how you feel about money, your personal relationship with money, right, is related to God. Because you could live in a system, you could live in a reality where everybody was millionaires. But the problem with that is that nobody would work. Think about that. And since they need workers to not work, they create a system where there will be workers that want to work, that feel like they have to work in order to get money. And then there's also people that know that you can invest, you can do all types of shit to get money without working. But that's information. If you had that information, your ass wouldn't work either. When you scale back and look at the system that we're under, you will also understand that the system that's put in place has been put in place by the devil, among other things. So among other things, this is what inter caetera means. It is a papal decree claiming territorial dominion. So when we look on our dollar bill, and we see the phrase, "In God we trust," are we talking about a philosophical God, a reasonable God, a rational God, a God that is true? Or we're talking about an inferior God, a God that wants to create a system where it benefits some people and it don't benefit other people. And it got me to start to think, when Black people say we are God's chosen people, we the real Jews. And I started to think, like, for one, it for sure don't look like it. And for two, why we want that title so bad? And we don't even know what the word means. That word is not an ancient word. God. Okay? That's some new, weird, artificial intelligence concept that have been usurped. So from a Gnostic understanding, none of this shit is the ultimate truth. How could it be? It's not real. And because when you look at the Templars were put in place by Rome. But the Templars created the banking system that was backed by Rome. They created all of the Freemasonic systems. The Freemasonics, when you why at the town entrance do I see a Freemason sign? I don't know this. I'm asking Google. Maybe Google knows. You just drive into a town. A Freemason sign is visible at the entrance to a town because, like many other civic and fraternal organizations, the local Masonic Lodge posts signs to announce its presence to residents and visiting members. Before the internet, these signs were a practical way for traveling Freemasons to find the nearest lodge. So I want to go to a city and a town. I want to know it's a lodge there. Make it make sense in every single town. So I'm saying all of this to say this is all a web or illusionary reality that you don't even have to see it. This shit existed. That's the crazy thing about this shit, right? You don't even have to even deal with none of this. You don't even have to even realize there's a Freemasonic lodge in your city or town for it to like really be controlling and manipulating you, or people can literally be following you and know who you are. Because what is the purpose of a Freemasonic lodge? Its purposes can vary. Now, can it? It's really, make them say, bout it, Master P, no limit, to how they can come at your ass. So when we look at the colonial states of America, when we look at the Democratic and Republican Party, when we look at black versus white, Chinese versus Mexican, when we look at that shit, just know that we are some ignorant fucks. Just whenever a nigga is talking about it, just know he ignorant as hell. Because you still not able to parse out the colonial authority that's creating all of this rigmarole so niggas can just fight every 4 years on cue. That ain't weird to y'all? While nothing changes, while the rent prices go high, your wages stay the same. The housing prices go parabolic, your wages don't go parabolic. That is a system. And when we understand, and the reason why you're going to have to understand is because the shit gonna get worse, because that's what the nigga wanted to do. He don't want it to get better. Because niggas could make it get better. People, your mama could call you and help you. Your daddy could show up. I mean, these is my kids. One's in the chat. The nigga could just walk through the motherfucking door and take some responsibility up off your hand. But he not. But she ain't. She could stop lying to you. She could stop cheating on you. Your job could give you a fucking raise. They see you come to work every day with that piece of shit car. They could pony up $1,000 and buy you a new car so you can get back and forth to that motherfucker, but they ain't. This world could be a fucking paradise, but it's not, nigga. It's not. It's not. Y'all gonna keep looking at shit and making it be diamonds But that's a real live delusion. That's some weird shit to me. And when you look at the particular archons, their perspective is a flawed perspective. If the rulers is wrong, if the leaders is wrong, the followers is wrong because they going down the wrong path. The divine spark is within me, it is within you, and you're forced to find it. The problem is niggas don't care. They refuse to do the work because this power is so strong, among other things. So this particular excerpt is from the hypostasis of the archons, or the reality of the rulers, right? How the archons came into being. And then I'm going to just break this down in reference to a Gnostic interpretation of who and what the true God is and who and what the true God isn't. The reason why these conversations become true as time goes on, because the devil is in control. If God was in control, things would get better. You know, when you begin to look at it and then you say, well, what are we going to do? We must activate. We must come into our power. We must see it within ourselves. We must organize. Person will say, well, what's your purpose of doing this video? The purpose of doing this video is unity. The purpose of this video is understanding. The purpose of this video is for niggas not to be confused. If you think God is up under that church building, you're wrong. I don't care how good the motherfucking singer is. I don't care how good the motherfucking band is. They got the nigga on bass, bassing the fuck down. The nigga bassing like he goddamn, I don't know, he got 17 fingers. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I know the music is good. I know you feel the spirit. But that ain't it. But I said, sir, teach me about the faculty of these authorities. So when you get into the word faculty, you're talking about the ability, the opportunity, the means, the resources. So, but I said, sir, teach me about the ability of these authorities. How did they come into being? And what kind of genesis, what kind of beginning, and what of material, and who created them, and their force? And the great angel Lilith, which it is funny, the next word is understanding, but that word just literally means understanding. So your understanding will say, within the limitless realms dwells incorruptibility. So what's another word for saying that? Within the pits of shit, you will find the God. Well, when you immerse yourself with the illusion, you will find wisdom. Okay? So within the limitless realms dwells incorruptibility, Sophia, who is called Pistis, who wanted to create something alone without her consort, and her product was a celestial thing. Now, this is an energy that we must take note and take root of, because in 2024, I'll get to it. A veil exists between the world above and the realms that are below. And the shadow came into the being beneath the veil. And that shadow became matter. Listen to this. So we gotta get into we gotta understand this. So Sophia, she wanted to create something alone without her concert, right? So we looking at this metaphysically. We understand this to be what it is. Hopefully you understand this to be what it is. Hey, listen, nigga. She don't need no man. One's in the chat. She don't need no nigga for shit. Right? Until that nigga gets 16 and he's saying, shut the fuck up. And you like, who the fuck you talking to? I'm talking to you. Right? This nigga crazy. You raised a motherfucking monster. Now you calling, hey, can you come talk to this boy? I think this nigga done went crazy. You need to come get him. Come get him right now. You thank God you got that gun under your pillow, because this nigga done lost his goddamn mind. But see, you wanted to create something alone without your concert. And that product was a celestial thing. And it's going to permeate into the reality of our existence. And it's going to be veiled. A veil exists between the world above and the realms that are below. Give me 1 second, family. A veil exists between the world above and the realms that are below. What does this mean? It means that the things that are happening celestially are happening in real life, but a veil exists between the world above to whereas we think we coming up with our own fly ass idea until that nigga turns 16. Or until you turn 33 and you said, man, a husband would kind of be nice right now. Some kids running around, and I actually don't even know where this shit actually came from. I was just chilling at my job and said, wait a second, I want a family. You 33. Niggas been liking you forever. You just was like, nah. Why? Because Sophia, who is called Pistis, wanted to create something alone without her concert, and the product was a celestial thing. A veil exists between the world above and the realms that are below. And the shadow came into being beneath the veil. And the shadow became matter. And that shadow was projected apart. So what is this saying? This is saying that this celestial thing, which is you and I, is separated from our mother. And this particular act has created this world that we are living in, and what she have created became product in the matter like an aborted fetus. And it assumed a plastic form, molded out of shadow, and became an arrogant beast resembling a lion. It was androgynous, as I have already said, because it was made from matter that it derived. And this means something very specifically. All of this is very specific. Let's get into the details. So Sophia's fall, her desire to create alone, symbolizes misdirected divine will manifesting without inner unity and creating a false reality. The material universe, which is separated from pleroma. So these niggas won't know what they don't know, what they can't know. And to sit with this shit, I feel like I feel like the only when that GOAT movie came out, that movie was prophecy. Because it was all in this book. But this book been out for years. And I can understand a person reading this book and making a movie, but no. You also have Tracy Twyman. You also have Brother Penning, who were ritually sacrificed in reference to talking about this shit, not understanding what they talking about, and it's very understanding as to why. Because this world is disconnected from the pleroma. You got to bear witness to that. The only connection that we have is found deep within ourselves through understanding ourselves as being divine beings. We must understand that about ourselves, and then we got to understand everybody else is the same divine being as us, but they don't know it. And because they don't know it, that makes them a motherfucking ticking time bomb. That means when it comes to doing this real, true spiritual shit, they not going to give a fuck about it. It's going to be your girlfriend. It's going to be your wife. It's going to be your kids. It's going to be your grandma. It's going to be your boss. They not going to care because they are separated from the pleroma. Matter as shadow. Matter is seen not as inherently evil, but as lacking divine illumination. So what is the issue with this particular statement? That's all people care about. Buying clothes and looking the part and makeup and relationships and houses and cars, different technologies. Nigga, you happy that you got all of that technology in your car, but you got to pay $30 a month just to operate your shit, just to cut your shit on Bluetooth. You got to buy into some shit, and you got to pay subscription services for the rest of your life. It's subscription services getting paid with people not even existing, but they got their damn credit card connected to it, and the credit card just ain't got canceled yet. Go run the credit to the limit just off goddamn Spotify. This is the realm of ignorance and limitation. This is the realm of ignorance and limitation, and it's helpful to look at it this way, because otherwise you looking at it as the bee's knees, or you going through something and it's fucking up your day. You got a damn job, you living in the projects, and you want motherfuckers to feel sorry for you. This is an illusion, dumbass. If you was in a mansion, it'd be the same matter. It's not different forms of matter. It's the same matter. I seen a damn meme where they was having a fucking picnic in a parking garage. I said, oh, these motherfuckers get it. They starting to understand it now. Motherfucker, your rent, what's your rent? Your rent under $1,500? You living in the ghetto, but you not paying $2,500 just for motherfuckers to say, oh, your apartment nice. Motherfuckers living where you go from back to front, left to right in New York City for $3,000. If you spin around in 3 circles, motherfucker, you done rent to the front of the apartment and the back of the apartment. Ride my lion? You spent $3,500 on a fucking trash can. Literally. You got to fucking swivel in that bitch like a snake. Just because you want to live in New York City. This is because the devil rules the goddamn world. This is because people will say, man, it's a capitalistic economy. I got to get it how I live. It's the prices. It's the market. No, you are ignorant. Make the best of whatever the fuck you got, wherever you got it. Whatever situation you in, begin to look at it as fucked up. You got to begin to start to think about it too. Because people will be like, man, that body count conversation is old. If you ever thought about your girl doing freaky shit with somebody else, she not a virgin, and she probably got freaky as hell with somebody else, and you just gotta exist strong with it. You gotta have a strong heart about it. You gotta take her out to eat and shit. This world fucked up. This world hard. So, who is the demiurge? The demiurge is a lion-faced beast. This figure embodies the egoic creation, declaring, I alone am God. He governs only the lower worlds, the ignorant of higher truths, symbolizing the false self or the ego mind, believing itself separate from the divine. Right? When you separate from the divine, you could do anything. And that's why you know this nigga run the Christian church. Cause you can catch a Christian on Saturday, right before church, busting it wide open, going home real quick, throwing on some perfume, not even showering the stank off, testifying on Sunday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, smelling a little like Badusi, walking to church in the midst of a damn Holy Ghost. It's a little funky in that motherfucker. You can do whatever you want to do as long as you tithe in that 10%. They don't give a fuck what you do. There ain't no ethics. But you go to them goddamn Jewish communities, Oak Park, Michigan, over off in 11 Mile over there. Yeah, right. You'll be, and Sue will not be busting it open for nobody except for goddamn Gabe. Gabe and Ann, goddamn it. They got 17 kids and they all look like they got their shit from a thrift store in 1986. The whole neighborhood, everybody doing the same shit. Niggas would be like, oh, I ain't about to do that. I gotta wear my Balenciagas. You can wear your Balenciagas, but you get kicked out of the community. I don't need this community. And now look at us. Now look at us. And so the part about this particular part, I found it interesting. And that's why I feel like Spirit gave me the word oversimplification, which creates a distorted view, because when they talk about Baphomet being this androgynous figure, and it's just like he symbolizes the masculine and feminine in one being. And we're like, all right, it sounds good. He represents us at a spiritual level, right? And to me, it's like, and I never really, it really always, why would a goat have boobs and a penis? Like, it ain't deep more than it is kind of grotesque, and it's meant to be grotesque because it represents something that could never be, right? That's what Baphomet represents. It's like if cousins, right, have a baby, and the baby come out a little deformed, it teaches you, like, all right, you got to have sex with somebody else, right? Because if it was a black family and a brother and sister, right, in a white family and a brother and a sister, what you think that the parents would have to do? You wouldn't say, all right, you know what I'm saying, you and your brother and sister get down, would you? No, you would say, all right. And that's what we are. When you look at it, it's always light-skinned niggas that don't like white people. Can I get a 1 in the chat? White people hate light-skinned people hate white people, and they be like, man, fuck all these white people. Be like, wait, bro, wait. My man's is white. Like, what we doing here? Like my man's is white. So what we talking about? No, fuck all the wait, bro. You light skinned. My mama white. Like, no, fuck your mama. Don't see, we gotta be so clear. Fuck your grandma, right? You know what I'm saying? Fuck your grandmama. Don't fuck all white people, like, cause that's just a blanket term. I make money with white people on a daily basis. I be communing with them. So what we talking about? Okay, you now if I ask for money, I'm a scam artist or some shit. So I started making money with the white people, and you like, fuck all white people now. We gonna have to be starting to break bread together, my brother, or whatever, you know. Y'all not even understanding this shit. If you got a penis and a vagina, you a part of the human race. And you good with the wood. If you got a goat head, you got titties, you got a dick, you got a pussy, you want people to do rituals to you, it's a little something to you, fam. You need to go relax, bro. You need to go. How you gonna follow a nigga like that? How you gonna follow a nigga like that? Okay? And Baphomet is a creation of Sophia, man. Baphomet is a creation of Sophia because Sophia wanted to have a baby, and the baby was all type of crazy. And this baby came out weird, man. A weirdo. This nigga weird, you know? Niggas following him every day, putting statues up to him and shit. This nigga weird, you feel me? Like this nigga had the Templars doing all type of crazy shit, and for what? Because this nigga just liked that, you know? Oh man, what was that movie? What was the movie where there was? Oh, this some damn Baphomet shit. Ironheart, right? One of the major premises of this particular show, they would act like it was like then damn near every episode. Motherfucker will ask him like, "So why you doing this?" And the motherfucker will look with a straight face and be like, "Because I can." And it's like, dog, that's not really logic. Like I can. Like, do you want to go how far that rabbit hole can go deep of what motherfuckers can do, right? We need to have some particular purpose, right? So the motherfuckers would be like, so why you fucking a different nigga every day? And Shorty be like, because I can. They be like, oh, all right. You know what I'm saying? Like the devil do run the world. Like, why you talking that 30 Glock, little Ray? Little Ray, like, cause I can. Like, oh, all right. Like everything niggas doing now is because they can do it. And you gotta understand this particular logic that negates order, that negates common sense, that negates, details and complex ideologies is devil centered. Okay, it's like, I don't know the word, but whatever word classifies it as the most evilest, retarded, redundant shit on the planet, cycles of reincarnation, trapping your motherfucking soul in material illusion, nigga, that's what this is. And if you don't want to accept it, trust me. In 2024, there are approximately 1.04 million clinician-provided abortions in the United States without total bans, representing a slight increase from 2023. So when you look at Moloch, when you look at Kybel, when you look at Yaldabaoth, when you look at Baphomet, you're not looking at no different shit. You're looking at the same shit that's about child sacrifice, about evil, just weird shit that you don't even like or agree. You just be watching shit on the news like, man, this shit crazy. What's wrong with people? People losing their damn mind. Yeah, because they following niggas that look like this energetically, right? They crashing out. Ain't that a normal term? Y'all ever heard the term crashing out? Imagine if your God showed up to you looking like this, like follow me. Like, why am I following you? What are we do? What are we doing here? I'm gonna give you a whole bunch of weird symbols and abstract notions, and just have you crashing out and being highly emotional, ready to fight everybody. But you really mad at your mom, but it's hate all white people, whatever. Just hate somebody. Who you hate today? You hate men? You hate women? Hate black people? Hate white people? Hate Republicans? Hate Democrats? Hate Jews? Hate Palestinians? Who you hate? Hate somebody. This is the world. Let's be mad at each other. Let's war. Let's fight. Let's walk past each other and not say shit to one another. How about that? That's the craziest thing about, about white people. They don't talk to one another. Like, they'll be in the city together. They'll just walk past each other, act like they don't even know you. Like, wait a second. I just be like, damn, I thought y'all was boys. Thought y'all was all cool. Y'all really don't really fuck with each other like that. It's kind of off-putting, You all need to start hugging each other. You know what I'm saying? And so with this kind of logic, I began to sympathize and understand Freemasons and Knights Templars who worship Baphomet. And I don't think that they worship Baphomet. I think that is a mystery and it is a secret. And the secret that the Knights Templars and the Freemasons know is exactly what I'm talking about now. That the devil rules the world, rules the consciousness, and you cannot unite with people because the devil is quick to possess a nigga and ruin everything that you have. So we have to do these fucking intense rituals and initiations to see if you weak or not for the devil. That's why I understand secret societies, Illuminatis, and things of that nature, because niggas don't give a fuck about the fact that the devil is in control, because the devil could manipulate and motivate them to live the life that the devil wants them to live. So, yes, no, you cannot just walk into a Freemasonic lodge like, what up? Can I join? I'm a cool nigga. Y'all smoke? I roll up. You can't just show up like that. You have to have some type of particular understanding in reference to the fact that people are going to argue with you. They're not going to like this conversation. They're going to be like, yo, why don't we talk about something else? I was thinking about this. Now imagine we the goddamn Knights Templar and we got to do a real live ritual to really get some shit popping, and a nigga talking about what they want to talk about. Yeah, man, this shit kind of boring, don't you think? I was thinking we get some hoes and drink some liquor. Like, y'all want to always do rituals and shit, bro. And then you understand how people get, excommunicated and why people don't begin to unite. So this is what I began to understand about this particular concept around Freemasons and Knights Templar, where they tell the world that they worship Baphomet, but I think they understood Baphomet and they began to work around, like it's called Masons, meaning my sons or mother sons. So in Eliphas Levi's History of Magic and Dogma and Ritual of High Magic, I think that it was initially alluding to that, or this is what I began to like. It either happened before or after, but I read this particular excerpt and I was like, it just clicked like, oh shit. Oh shit, the devil is definitely in control, right? So in his book, Eliphas Levi's book, he said, a power that ruled without antagonism, without concurrence, and consequently without control, proved fatal to the sacerdotal royalties. Sacerdotal is just another word for priestly. So the true priests of God were took out by this patriarchal force, and which makes a lot of sense, right? We matriarchal, we honoring the mother, and we honoring the natural role of life or whatever. But these niggas, they don't got that soft side. They just 100% hard body. So, we be like, all right, we gonna have a trial. We gonna see who's going to be the good or the bad. They like, nah, we just gonna cut off your motherfucking head, right? And so this particular concept of pure raw evil took over everything. So you will hear people a lot of times will say like all of the kings in Europe was black, Rome was black, the Etruscans was black, Greece was black, and they not lying. But these particular people were very philosophical. They weren't like complete and total bitches, but they are ill prepared for a complete masculine force, a, a, a dominating force of just like we just gonna cut your motherfucking head off and ain't shit you gonna be able to do about it, right? So these type of people come into the world and they just taking over shit. So maybe the Medici family, they was black, but they was connected to Rome, but everybody starts to get taken out at a particular time. So we living in a world where a power that ruled without antagonism, without concurrence, that consequently without control proved fatal to the priestly royalties, while the republics, on the other hand, had perished by the conflict of liberties and franchises, which in the absence of all hierarchically sanctioned and enforced had soon became mere tyrannies, rivals one of the other, which to this particular point, Republicans and Democrats is going to do everything besides come get together. Black and white people are going to do everything besides get together. To find a stable medium between these two abysses, the idea of Christian hierophants was to create a society devoted to the abnegation of solemn vows, protected by severe regulations, which should be recruited by initiation, and which sole depository of the great religious and social secrets. Right? So the great religious and social secrets is just that. You're not going to find nowhere where the devil is not in control. You're not going to really find a person that's really like not really fucked up. And how you start to know this when you start dating people, right? The more people you date, the more you start to say, oh shit, people really fucked up. So you get to a point where you start to understand, like, oh, you just need to like marry before you carry and just really keep your body count low. And you trying to tell this to young people and they be like, man, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. You like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. These motherfuckers is crazy. And the more you fuck around, the more you gonna find the fuck out. Right? It was in this secret of the kingdom of Jesus Christ, which without being of this world would govern all its grandeurs. So the Gnostic views Jesus Christ in a much different way than like the average person views Jesus Christ. Right? The Gnostic views Jesus Christ as a form of a Christ consciousness that is connected to the divine spark, which is connected to Sophia, where in reference to the average Joe, they think their connection to God is how they live on earth. So a way to understand earth is this is just a graphic way to understand it, but hopefully you'll understand it. Um, just look at dirt is shit, right? So if we every house is made of some form of dirt or concrete or brick, it's just shit. So if you have a high quality piece of shit, it's still going to be a piece of shit. And everything material in some form or fashion is shit. And it's not like a far off uh, notion or concept to call it shit, because even the Egyptians viewed this concept the same way with their veneration of Khepri or the dung beetle, which, created life out of shit. So through the most depths of shit, you're able to get to the core of soul. Like a dung beetle puts its egg in a ball of shit, and through that fertilization process, life is created. So this idea, move this up a little bit. This idea presided at the foundation of the great religious orders, so often at war with the secular authorities, ecclesiastical or civil. Its realization was also the dream of dissident sects of Gnostics or Illuminati who pretended to connect their faith with the primitive tradition of the Christianity of St. John. So, this is like a real non-succinct way of saying the only way to truth is finding it within yourself and somehow magnetizing your way to the truth, because so many people pretend. So many people are fake spiritual, and this is the nature of the devil, right? This is the nature of it. So if you don't get to the core of the nature of it, then you will be like, well, some people is good. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. Or he was attractive enough, she was attractive enough that I began to overlook her flaws. That's just what we going to do. So the secret society said, because we're going to do that, we have to make sure that these initiations and these rituals are of the deepest understanding. And so that might be why, either if you're serious about your spirituality and people fall by the wayside, because that's just the nature of it, right? So to finish this off, it at length became a menace for the church and society when a rich and dissolute order, initiated by the mysterious doctrines of the Kabbalah, seemed disposed to turn against legitimate authority. So overall, just to break this down, what we just read to a more clearer view and come to my overall point of what if God is the devil and why that's an important conversation, that's what's coming up over these next 3 slides. So over time, people possessed by the devil, possessed by Baphomet, possessed by Yahweh, possessed by Yaldabaoth, possessed by Abraxas, they have one thing in common, even though they call their God by different names, Allah, Jehovah, things of that nature. The thing that they all have in common is that they lust for power, they lust for control. And because the thing that we know about power is that it corrupts. So if we are Freemasons or we are Rosicrucians or whatever our secret society is, and we have a lot of power and we just invite niggas in and we give them the power, it's going to fuck their head up sooner or later. So we have to have a particular process. So in reference to the individual spiritualist who's just trying to understand themselves, you can't fuck around with this shit. You have to have a discipline in reference to your spirituality, your spiritual development. And that could be as simple as taking the signs you experience seriously. One in the chat if that makes sense. Because if you don't take the signs that you experience seriously, you are lusting from some type of power. And if this happened, I will feel better. But what's the reality? It's happening all the fucking time. You just unaware of it happening because you are not taking the signs seriously. Okay? One's in the chat if that makes sense. Unregulated freedom collapses. Liberty devoid of structure descends into rivalry and chaotic disorder. So when you begin to institute religious structure, niggas is the first to run. You can't tell me what to do. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. Unregulated freedom collapses. So at the end of the day, the overall ending is that don't let motherfuckers fool you. When motherfuckers run away from the tribe, they crash the fuck out and they with somebody that don't understand them. They crying they fucking self to sleep, and at the end of the day, they wish they were up under that community, because at our core, that is what we are seeking. That is what we came from. That is what life is. People telling you, not telling you, oh, this little secret over here, this a mystery. No, this is how you do this. This when people give you information that level you up, don't that shit feel good? Right? You deserve a community where the information, it benefits the collective. Because that means what you know helps other people, and what they know, it help you. That's the purpose of it. But we live in a society and a system that's going to tell you that you're going to figure it out by your motherfucking self, which is the biggest crock of shit you ever going to hear in your whole entire life. Okay? So they figure a Hierophant solution, which is to create a sacred, initiated society embodying discipline and knowledge, which represents the kingdom of Jesus Christ, right? The kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within you. If you ever wanted to understand it, you need to have a form of structure in reference to unlocking this particular modality. I've been doing this shit for so long. I done put out books and helping niggas that I don't even give a fuck at this point. What I'm gonna do in reference to people who don't want to do it. So, in reference to unlocking your chakras, in referencing you to do shadow work, you are in a realm where you are not connected to the God force energy. But through doing the work of your shadow, you can connect to that realm. But it's your shadow. It's the shit that you hate. You need to start to really figure out why you hate white people, and you got a white grandma that didn't even give you no inheritance, but she gave it to your her other grandkids, because your auntie married a white man. And you hate her for that, but now you hate white. No, it's some family deep rooted shit you need to uncover. But I've been doing my forgiveness work, because motherfuckers will do fucked up shit in this world. You better believe it. And if you're not armed with your forgiveness work, you're gonna be actually thinking you fucking with a perfect person. Oh, this my man perfect. He ain't gonna never hurt me. Then you find them in a goddamn grinder. Got a grinder account. You got to start doing your forgiveness work now. Imagine that nigga got a grinder account already, because he probably do. Okay? Forgiveness work. Okay? Forgiveness already. Then your forgiveness work, he won't have one. See how that works? You don't forgive you don't, because it's forgive. It's something that you're doing in the future. You giving them the option to delete the app. Just walk in the house and say grinder. Dum, dum, dum. See if he start dancing or looking nervous. That'll tell you everything you need to know. Grinder. Hold on 1 second. So a lot of Gnostics had came into this thing trying to do the same thing that I'm doing. Some people going to get it, some people not going to get it, because it's a hard sell to tell motherfuckers that everything that you experience in this world results from demonic control and shit. Motherfuckers don't really get it, right? They not fully going to immerse themselves in the illusion to get to the truth. Because you don't find your little pocket of truth without going through your fair share of the illusion. That's the way that the cookie is always going to crumble. And people are just not prepared for that. So with this being said, because people are not prepared for it, it's always going to be some form of conflict with some said form of authority, because people refuse to do shadow work. So there has to be somebody to hate, because you can't hate yourself for not knowing what you don't know. Not knowing that there is a treasure inside of you that you must unlock and uncover. And nobody is holding you back. Nobody is stopping you. The white man ain't no pressing you. The prices ain't too high. The market ain't not. All of that shit is to keep you in conflict with authority. And when these orders became powerful or corrupt, they pose a threat to established institutions, often resulting in their suppression. We know about the Black Panthers. We know about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Whenever you get to a point of preaching and talking about the truth, this is where they come for you. Charlie Kirk, to name a few, Bobby Hemmett, Brother Panic, Tracy Twyman, and the list goes on and on and on. But the point is not to defeat the devil. That's not the point. We don't need to defeat the devil. Why don't we need to defeat the devil? Why don't we need to fight the devil, fight the power, public enemy? We don't need to do that shit. We don't need to call out the evil in the world. The devil is already defeated. The devil is already lost. When you begin to understand higher spiritual concepts within yourself and how they apply to you, that's how you defeat. When you begin to go up out of your shell and unify with people, when you begin to see the God within you, within another person, and you radiate to people, when you begin to pour in, when you begin to share love, when you begin to look at life from a higher spiritual perspective, then you go and counter to the narrative. But every time you say, oh, it ain't no use, it don't matter. Ain't nobody trying to hear what I got to say anyways. I'm better off alone. The last time I was in a relationship, it ain't work out. The last time I tried to talk to a girl, she called me an ugly ass nigga. Get out of my face. So I'm just going to sit here alone because there's nothing that I can do. And I understand, that's why the spirit of forgiveness is so powerful, to meditating on God's perfect truth, understanding where God is at through the lover of knowledge, through your understanding. Because if you don't understand nothing, you are looking at it distorted. So you have to go deeper into your understanding, deeper into your word. When I mean your word, I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm talking about the etymology. Getting a root origin understanding of these words, what they mean, the words that you say, the words that are vibrating within your subconscious, looking up the etymology. God is speaking to you all the time. You don't need to fight the power. That's the problem. You don't need to, kill the Democrats and fight against the Democrats and suppress the Republicans. You don't need to do that. You need to elevate your own self. You need to open up your own mind. So what is the proper perspective in coming to the conclusion, and what if God is the devil? How do we come up to this understanding? And of course, it's in the book itself. Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. I will make those who are the synagogue of Satan, who claim to be Jews, though are not, but are liars. I will make them come and fall down at your feet and acknowledge that I have loved you. So when I'm looking at this, I'm automatically thinking that they're talking about the Jew. I'm looking at it in a way that they're talking about how the Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews, are not actual Jews, and then the people who claim to be Jews, right, which are the Ashkenazis, and then the real Jews, which are us or the chosen people. I don't look at that verse like that no more. I look at it as exactly how it is on earth. I'm understanding it to be that the black people who claim to be Jews, though they are not, but are liars, will make them come and fall down at your feet and acknowledge that I've loved you, right? And I honestly feel that these are the real Jews. I think they are God's chosen people. I think the Bible is not being deep or eschatological or whatever. I think it is how it is placed before you. I think that when we understand ourselves to be Jews, we are limiting ourselves in who we truly are. We don't need to be children of God because we are not of this world. We are not material beings. We are spiritual beings. So we are children of the Sophia. We are children of the perfect balance and understanding. It goes deep and beyond everything that we are being told. And to me, it got me to thinking, let me look at it from a psychological point of view. So we have Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which they say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet and to know that I have loved thee. The psychological interpretation is, as you can observe, I am bringing forth your beliefs of superiority. These are false beliefs because every human being is essentially equal to every other. And the problem with religion is when niggas become Christian, what can they do now? They can tell you about yourself. They are better than you. When it comes to being Jewish, because they got a family and they got a nice house or whatever the case may be, they're in a part of a community, they are better than you. Because you go to the mosque, you pray 5 times a day, you're better than me. But psychologically, you must understand every human being is essentially equal to every other. That is the spiritualist understanding. That is the psychological understanding. When you doing this or doing that to make a person better, you're not understanding it. And since you're not understanding it, you're under some form of mind control. So therefore, the baseline level is we're all equal because every human being is essentially equal to every other. Therefore, any of these particular feelings that we have of us being unequal must be alchemized or transformed into new principles of wisdom. So there's also a deeper beauty and understanding to this because you are brought here for a specific reason. The form of alchemy, the understanding of alchemy is the negative into the positive. It is not the positive into the positive. This is why when people inherit things or have things, they don't fully appreciate it. If you ever was a child or a parent that just spoiled your kid to the point where they ain't appreciate it, they would just throw the shit all over the place and they just don't care about it, right? Because you don't transform a positive into a positive. You transform a negative to a positive. So the reasons for the reason for me, like I've been going through like this deep portal of understanding of all of this in reference to like listening to Tracy Twyman podcasts and panic videos and reading and taking notes. And it's like, I'm trying to figure out why. Like, because I don't understand what the fuck they're trying to say. It's not clear to me. Right? And in this particular part, it made it all clear to me because let me just explain it in a more succinct way, because this is the last slide. The purpose of illusion. We are vessels of light vehicles of expression. Thus, we have a responsibility to choose the true source of energy that will make us all that what we will be. There are only two sources to choose from: fire or astral energy. Choose fire, and you will in time know without a doubt you are a son of God. Choose astral energy, and just about anything goes. And all that is not truly divine will be available to you. From the false divine to the grotesque and everything in between, the astral offers it all. So, what I'm trying to do is break down the facts of dealing with everything. And dealing with everything is understanding the mysteries of God and the devil. And this is one of the biggest mysteries, because people are going to present God in a way where it almost goes beyond your subconscious and conscious mind. You just assume that God is just this good entity, or you could say, all right, I'm an atheist and God just ain't real at all. It's one of those two options. However, when you reference illusion, that's a hard subject to wrap your mind around. Like, what do I mean by that? Say, for instance, you with your boo thing, and you just start a conversation like, "How was Nebulous this weekend?" And he look at you like, "What the fuck is you talking about?" "I'm talking about that seventh dimension planet that you was over the weekend, and you had your astro boo, um Gobula, come gave you a blowjob in the astro realm." And he looking at you like, "Bitch, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. You going crazy." But within the illusion, all things exist, and they exist in the same dimension as imagination. So it could be exhausting if you ever wanted to get to truth. But it's a reason. So what's the contrary to this? Everything we do is logical. Everything we do is rational. Everything we do is make sense. I look like this. She look like that. Right? And then you look deeper into that, that don't even make sense, because you will see an ugly girl with a fine ass dude and vice versa. A fine ass girl with an ugly ass nigga. And you like, what do y'all see in each other? That don't make sense either. When you looking at everything as a matter of fact and everything is right and exact in accordance, I go to church every Sunday, I work a 9 to 5 job, I pay my taxes, I'm doing everything the right way, you literally are going to go crazy because you're not exploring the illusion. So you might be like, damn, why is this person doing psychedelics and he got two Benzes, a Escalade, and he living on a mansion, but he in the backyard tripping off psychedelics? But me, I'm struggling at my 9 to 5. I can't figure it out, and I don't even know how to even build myself up. Like, it's wearing me down because people have told you some stupid ass shit. some dumbass shit. And you ain't even realize it was some dumbass shit because you thought like the shit was real. It's an illusion. So anything somebody tell you, you got to start looking at it like it's crazy. Like, you don't need no man, girl. You could do this shit all by yourself. You believe that shit too. I don't need a man. I can do it all by myself. I don't need nobody. Yeah, I don't. I mean, it would be nice to have some help, but since I don't got no help, I don't need nobody. Man, you could just fuck all the girls you want to. It don't even matter, bro. Your energy draining, your spirit, your karma, all crazy. You fighting with niggas, beefing with niggas. You got all types of weird energy. You going over girls' houses. They nigga coming over. You hiding under pillows and shit. Going through all types of crazy shit because people that told you, man, focus on the money, focus on the bitches, focus on God, focus on your book, focus on this, focus on that. You didn't ever even look at it like everything people are going to tell me is an illusion. It don't matter. It's all an illusion. So what's the point? If it's all an illusion? If it's all an illusion, if it ain't real, why can't I look at it like that? Because in order to find wisdom, you find wisdom through the illusion. You don't find wisdom does not beget wisdom. In order to come to all of these spiritual truths, it's almost like you got to fall off a mountain. Like you got to just go through some crazy shit. The illusion points to what is real and can give you an experience of wisdom. That's the nature of the world. That's the nature of the beast. That's why Baphomet then becomes benevolent. That's why Yahweh then becomes benevolent. That's why Yaldabaoth then becomes benevolent, because it's only when you in church and you in church for real that this nigga be like, all right, I'm gonna let your ass go. You a good one. All the dumb niggas that's not even fully capable of perceiving what I'm even able to talk about, he'll still use their asses. He would still use their asses. But you in church, you reading it, you studying it, you meditating on the word, you believe in God. And for some reason, you just couldn't jive with it. You just couldn't go with it. Cause you was committed. You know, you don't matter what you in a relationship, whatever. Could be an ancient motherfucker. Show up tomorrow, show up today with your best energy to work tomorrow, Shit'll start happening for you. When you start recognizing it all to be an illusion, you'll be able to navigate to some truth. If you can't see all of this shit to be an illusion, then you're not. So once again, it goes illusion, which is a mental disposition, glamour, which is an emotional disposition, and Maya, which is a physical disposition. Because this is the world that we're living in, because from a Gnostic perspective, it's the totality of light, and a veil exists between this light, but the light is so strong that a shadow begins to create matter, but the matter acts as a complete separation from the totality. However, a spark of the totality exists within you, and that's the only reason that you know it's there. Everything else is form of matter, and matter is a form of illusion, but you have to have a mental disposition. All right, this is an illusion. Therefore, I can't emotionally react to an illusion the same way that I'm going to emotionally react to something that is particularly real, and it's not real. It's only what people have told me that to say it was real. Oh, you in this, so you should feel like that. Oh, you got that, so you should feel like that. But intuitively, if you were to be honest, the same things that you could put a baby, you ever see them put baby in Chanel and shit? The baby just don't magically feel like, oh, I'm that bitch now. I got on some baby Chanel, some baby Louis Vuitton. The baby is still a baby because the baby is experiencing at a baby level. Now, if the baby becomes 17 and you say, oh, you got the new Louis Vuittons, you must be a fashionista or something. You must be better than everybody else. Niggas believe this shit wholeheartedly now. You can't tell these niggas shit. They literally feel like because they able to spend triple worth is worth that they somehow better than a person that's like just putting on clothes, doing what they got to do. The journey through perceived illusions of the material world, described in the Gnostic texts as the flawed creation of the archons, is not merely a path of escape, but an opportunity for a profound insight. Right? So once again, I'm going through all of this like for what, for what, for what, for what? Baphomet this, Baphomet that. Reading this shit. This shit is abstract as a fuck. Felt a little better with him, but even him, the way that movie was set up, I'm like, still got questions. So, how does this conversation in reference to the devil being the God and God being the devil help us? It helps us unveil reality. The very existence of illusion implies a contrast with the underlying reality. So, what does this mean? If there is an illusion, why is there an illusion in the first place? Why is there an illusion in the first place? And what is the illusion hiding? The illusion is hiding the truth. The illusion is hiding the reality. But if you understand what is false reality, that will segue to what is real reality. But if you're not able, that you're not strong enough, you're not mental enough, everything that you experience is just the truth. You're not able to parse it, and then you're not even. So, what is the purpose of an illusion? The purpose of an illusion is to show you the underlying reality. Since there is an illusionary world, there must be a true world. And where do we find this world? So once again, we sharpen our perception of what is true and what is eternal. It's a nice and long list. Universal cultural values. Universal cultural values include shared elements like language, family, rituals, and broader principles such as fairness, compassion, respect for life. These values, also called cultural universals, are found in all societies, though they manifest differently in each culture. So, a list on Wikipedia is a long list of cultural universals, things for which you can begin to understand. Like you can like write your own story, create your own religion, create your own community, and base it on these particular culture universals. Like what is your colors? Like how do you classify people? Because that's all they did to us in this world that we're living in that we feel like is real. Okay. The path to gnosis. So this challenges the limitations of the material realm and serve as catalyst, urging the divine spark within to seek greater understanding and liberation from ignorance. So within this particular dimension of time, I've taken way more time to meditate and way more time to just sit with myself. I've really been sitting with myself for hours, hours upon hours, and just like I've been in the deepest meditation for years. Like I can't even really explain it. I'm reflecting on it, but I can't fully explain it because it's like in this life where you think you got it figured out and you realize you don't have it figured out and you got to go back to the drawing board. I literally had to be like, well, what activated me before? What was it that got me to this point that I'm at, you know? And what that caused was closing of a lot of shit, restarting a lot of shit, because a lot of shit had old energy attached to it. And just looking at how I'm going to approach things differently. Because how I approached things in the past, I was so limited by what I thought I could or couldn't do, you know? And man, over these past years, I've limited myself by so many different. It is astounding, really, how much I've limited myself. And you could create this whole paradigm for yourself based upon your limitations. And it's like, all right, how do I stop being my own worst enemy? Because I can't really blame nobody. I can't really go to nobody because I never went to nobody before. And when I talk about this spiritual shit, it's like, all right, well, ain't no OGs that's going to give you the guidance that you need. Your own OG is within yourself. And the only way that you fully understand that and realize that is if you realize that this world is based upon a, a primitive illusion, that everything is being placed before you, and all you got to do is be the best version of yourself to acquiesce to something that you didn't even create. And you up in this job, shucking and jiving, trying to do the best that you can, and you feel it. You feel limited in your expression. You feel limited in your time. But then at the same time, you don't know how to get out of that shit either. And that's why I say, if you feel limited, it's because you have not really sat with yourself long enough. It ain't no master teachers. We already seen the master teachers. Every 6 months, they telling you how a master teacher then transition out the body, no legacy, no museum, no their work is just being, whatever on YouTube. You don't see them in the algorithm no more. It should lead you to yourself and not lead you to nobody else. They are not the model, whether we know it or not. And finally, how do you find the truth? You find the truth in the midst of shit. You find the truth going beyond the oversimplification of, oh, that's just the yin and yang. Because even when you look at the yin and yang, even when you look at the yin and yang, you see the darkness and the light, and you see the light and the darkness, right? So basically, what this means is you find the truth in the midst, in the depths of your illusions, in the midst of your perceived chaos. It's something that is guiding you. It's something that is there, forcing you to be aware. And I hope that this video moved you closer to yourself. Because it's a certain point within this spiritual shit where you want success, You want people to like you. You want views. You want this. You want that. And as a person that is like that, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you're not like that, but I'm for sure like that. Over this past month, I've been humble because I've been forced to rely on myself more than, all right, let me work on my videos and my Substacks and do articles, because really that's relying on y'all. You know what I'm saying? More views, more YouTube money, you know, shit like that. And it's like, that's cool, but sometimes that ain't what my soul need. And I need to figure myself out a lot of times. So I'm not able to do as much videos as I really want to do. But that's okay. You know, that's okay because I'm able to spend time with myself, and spending time with myself is helping me is getting my shit back together again. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I've not necessarily lost myself, but lost that connection to the consistent meditation, which is the only way that you access the totality. From a Gnostic point of view, you don't access the totality through love, through relationships, through family. You don't access the totality through how much money you make. You don't access the totality by who like you and who don't like you. You access the totality by understanding all of that to be an illusion, and the truth is found within you. And so hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. This have been just uh, a train of thought, man, that I've been on for, like, I could say it's October. I've definitely been on this train of thought for like a month. So it feels good to like get it all out, get it all in the slideshow. The full slideshow will be on my Substack, so make sure you become a member of that. Um, if there is any questions, I would love to answer any questions. If y'all do have any questions, I hope that y'all were able to get something from this. I don't, people love simplifying shit, short TikTok videos and things of that nature. I feel like that's one of the things that really fucked up the spiritual game, where people lost their attention span and they got more into the oversimplification of spirituality, which brought about a distorted view of it. So, for those of y'all willing to sit through a lecture, take notes, um, go down a historical journey with me, a metaphysical journey, connect it all. Appreciate y'all for that, because y'all let me know that it's still a market for that. So this is the greater value from my perspective. And I've always just been a person that did content in the degree that I wanted content to be. And so, yeah, man, appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. And this will be for the archives. And, as we just move on to different topics and different realities in the midst of this illusion. But it's okay to deal with the illusion, because through the illusion is where you get to wisdom. Ashe. So with all of that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like the video, share this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed to this channel, and I will catch y'all all on the flip side. Hood Mystic, my Cash App, Hood Mystic 38, $sign, of course, Instagram at the Hood Mystic. Join the Discord, email hoodmystic@gmail.com. Support my business, whiterabbitpsych.com. Any questions, feel free to email me. And with all that being said, I will catch y'all all on the flip side. Peace.